Good morning. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Welcome to our COVID Conversation series, where we have some discussions with those in and outside of Westchester government and in the society at large to talk about how we're coping with the COVID crisis that now enters our seventh month of experience. We're trying very hard to have as normal a year as we can, given the nature of the pandemic. And of course, we've gone through the summer season, and now we're in the fall season. And one of the great things about Westchester in the fall is all of the different tourist attractions, the special events, and really the beauty of this area of the country this time of the year. So we're here to talk with two individuals a little bit about how we're going to try to deal with that this fall, with efforts made, a particular initiative through our tourism department and through our friends at the Historic Hudson Valley. I'm joined today in our conversation with Waddell Stillman, who is the Historic Hudson Valley president. And he'll talk a little bit about his organization, which we're all familiar with. We know some of these great sites, and he's going to talk about some of our programs there. And our director of the Westchester County Tourism and Film Program, Natasha Caputo. Natasha, Waddell, thanks very much for being here today.
Good morning.
Good.
Good morning.
It's good to see you both. Natasha, you've been doing this work on tourism and film promotion for a long time. We're very happy in this administration to keep you on duty after you've served in past administrative work. But this is a fall like no other. There's never been something quite like this that we've had to deal with. And so now you put together an initiative, Westchester with Care. Tell us a little bit about what that is and how that's trying to deal with the fact that we have certain restrictions because of the pandemic.
Yes, well, and thank you again, County Executive, for having me on the show. It is a pleasure to serve with you on this great team administration. The leadership and the steadfast for us and support for tourism is really appreciated and necessary. Travel and tourism is an economic engine here for Westchester. And as you said, we've had not only the fall, we have not had the year at all. This is not the year we thought it was going to be. Travel and tourism was at its peak, the highest on visitor spend and new travel products that were in development. But the new initiative is called Westchester with Care. And the idea is really uniting all of our businesses, our residents, and our guests to feel safe and secure as we, with the reopening phases and start venturing out. More than ever now, that need of what's familiar to us and trying to have these experiences under the new norm. That's really what Westchester with Care is. It is a pledge. We're going out to all of our hoteliers, tourism-related businesses, working with the task force here, partnering with Bridget Gibbons, our Director of Economic Development, and really going out and creating this pledge so that is a unified message for Westchester as a destination, but as a place to live, work, and play here. It's on visitwestchesterny.com/Westchester with Care. Businesses can sign up. We have masks and buttons. And the idea is to create tools as well for these businesses, any questions that may be needed, filling in the CDC guidelines, the New York Forward, working with our health officials and making sure that that is out there as much as possible so that we can start to move forward.
Now, during the summertime, the spring and the summertime, we dealt with certain recreational efforts, certain tourism efforts based on what we knew we could deal with. We kept our beaches open, we kept our pools open, we extended bicycle Sundays, we maintained our public golf courses. But we also knew that because there were state regulations and the spread of the virus at hand, we could not open Playland Amusement Park. We could not have our festivals at Kensico Dam. So those were different choices that we had to make within the county's control. As you look at the fall season, can you tell us what are the kind of events, what are the kind of activities that will occur in Westchester County over the fall, knowing that not everything can occur?
No, and that's a great way. That's a great question, because fall is one of the most exciting times of year here for Westchester County. We are home to multiple farms and orchards, experiences, the outdoors, and especially for road trips and our nearby neighbors. But these adventures that are out there have wide open spaces where you will feel comfortable and safe. So the ability to go out and have a little getaway in your own backyard or not far from your home, Westchester has that to offer. And that's here in abundance, where it's our quaint villages, our parks, our hiking, our biking trails, that's available. We do have art openings, the Hudson River Museum, the Caputo Museum of Art, as well as, when I mentioned the farms, Wilkins Fruit and Fur Farm, as well as our county, Hilltop Hanover Farm, Muscoot. So these are all places that you can go feel safe and venture out and enjoy this beautiful fall foliage here in Westchester County.
Now, some of the places that we enjoy the most, Waddell, we're going to bring you into this. Waddell Stillman, who's the president of Historic Hudson Valley. There are some terrific facilities that you have and operate. I'd like you to touch on the ones just as a reminder for everybody. But I'm driving north on 9A a couple of days ago to go to Peekskill, and I see the big billboard that talks about the Blaze. And I thought, they're going to do the Blaze this year. That's got to be difficult, and it's got to be exciting that it's still going to happen. So tell us a little bit about the Blaze, and tell us about some of the other offerings at Historic Hudson Valley this year.
We're really excited to be able to do the Blaze this year. We're fortunate in that event, unlike many that we and others do, kind of begins as a COVID-enabled event, in that it's entirely outdoors. It's a single directional path, touchless to begin with, and we've been selling timed tickets for years as a way of managing the flow of people. And under the state's guidelines for low impact outdoor arts and entertainment events, we're in a position to reduce capacity of the Blaze by 2/3. So it feels sparse for those who are coming this year, but it's also an opportunity to experience it on a socially distanced basis. We do insist that everybody wear a mask, and so far, we opened on the 18th of September. So far, we've had excellent compliance. Every now and then, somebody will pull a mask down to take a selfie, but they generally remember to put it right back over their nose and mouth. And if they don't, we have some very friendly, professionally trained social distance ambassadors who will remind them not only to keep their mask up and on, but also to stay 6 to 10 feet away from folks in other parties also enjoying the Blaze.
Tell us how long the Blaze, well, tell us a little bit about it more, that people understand what the Blaze actually is. Also touch on how long the pumpkins will be on display and what you hope to get in terms of general attendance.
Yeah, so the Blaze is a land art exhibition that people enjoy by going online, buying a ticket for a specific timed entry time, and walking along a path through the Van Cortlandt Manor Historic Site. It's a National Historic Landmark site that Historic Hudson Valley is privileged to own and operate and welcome visitors to. And we have artistic carvers of pumpkins. Every one of the pumpkins is carved, hand carved on site at Van Cortlandt Manor. And they're lit, they're grouped in displays, and they're enjoyed by strolling through a prescribed path in the site. It takes about 45 minutes on average to walk through and enjoy the exhibits. And there's a great deal of light and movement and visual pleasure that delights not only children, as you might imagine, but also with the detailed artistry, adults as well. The event runs every evening now through Halloween, and then after daylight savings time on weekends in November until the weekend before Thanksgiving. And we have regular replacement of our organic pumpkins that are carved each week. And then we have some art pumpkins that are affixed to buildings or plywood exhibition bases, and they are there through the duration. So it's a consistent experience of jack-o'-lanterns in a historic setting, and it really is. It's a joy to put on, and we love to see the delight in the visitors' faces when they go through.
I think this is an absolute must-see for any family, any individual. I mean, it's a great date location. It's also a great place to take kids because they will marvel at the sculpting that's been done on the pumpkins. We've all seen jack-o'-lanterns that have been, gutted out and a smiley face or a terror face on it. But this is far more intense artwork. You almost can't believe that a pumpkin could be made to look like this. And then, of course, lit internally with candle light or whatever. So you have to put this on your list. If you believe nothing I ever say in this office, believe that the Blaze is something that you should see. Put it on your list. Go up and see it. Tell us in general about the other properties within the historic Hudson Valley family and some of the fall events that you're planning in those locations.
Oh, thanks. Well, we have a whole network of historic sites. Unfortunately, some of the other events that we would traditionally do at this season of the year are either indoors or too intimate really to operate. So the truth of the matter is that most of our event calendar has had to be canceled, and we're quite sympathetic with other cultural organizations that are in the same boat. Only the Blaze and the home of the legend, Washington Irving, homage to Washington Irving at Sunnyside in Tarrytown, are going forward, as well as some very limited tours, but very interesting tours of the stained glass by Matisse and Chagall at the Union Church in Pecanico Hills on the weekends, and again, all by pre-reservation. So it takes a bit of premeditation to gain access to this, and the way to find out about it is to go to hudsonvalley.org and see what you'd be interested in doing and sign up for a particular time.
And for anyone that is looking for fun things to do aside from the Blaze, make a note for the future, because we will bounce back as a society. We will reopen facilities that have been closed now, however long it takes. And you'll want to see Sunnyside. I gather Phillipsburg Manor is part of it. The church that you referenced is magnificent. Basically all on Route 9 in the river villages, as far south, I guess, as Irvington, and as far north as the Croton area. Natasha, let's go back to you. We know that the shutdown of the economy that occurred in March had an effect on all businesses. And then slowly, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, we started to reopen retail. We started to reopen restaurants, outdoor, indoor. But it did seem that the hospitality facilities, and particularly hotels, were very badly hit in all of this. Just this morning, I went by the Renaissance property, and I saw that it's closed. Rydtown Hilton is closed. So there are some real changes out there in the hospitality field. What's happening? Give us an update on where we are with our Westchester hotels and anything else in the hospitality industry, how it's been affected economically by the aftermath of COVID.
Sure. The effects are just, travel and tourism overall is in a depression. That came to a screeching halt. For Westchester County, we do have some properties that have suspended operations. You mentioned the Renaissance Westchester, but the good side is we had new properties that were opening. We have a beautiful luxury property called the Abbey Inn and Spa in Peekskill. We also have a new property, Spring Hill Suites in Tuckahoe. So where it's for us here as a draw as a destination, and our location and our desire for business meetings, associations, conventions, and that business traveler is non-existent right now. And we are looking forward, and how do we help our partners in the hotel industry? We are launching virtual tours of all of our hotel properties. That will start. We're now working with a company that is doing this with other destinations. And that's key as we start to sell and promote Westchester County for future business. So that's something that will start unfolding shortly. And these virtual tours will also include in what's happening in the areas around certain attractions. So close to 200 or so, we will be live on our website through Google search. And that's just a way to keep Westchester top of mind. Many of our hotels have stayed on top of the recommendations and mandates. Hotels have been essential from the beginning and have been open. Working with our Westchester Hotel Association, we had launched a 10 for 10, being responsive to the healthcare first responders and just pivoting the business as we've gone along month to month. And that's certainly something that is no plan in sight, but with these strong collaborations and partnerships we have here in Westchester, we've been able to do that. We have the Ritz-Carlton here in Westchester is also has suspended operations and is going through renovations, and we'll have a new product, a new flag change there. It will be an autograph in our county, and that is something that we will see not only here in Westchester, but throughout our region, where the properties are trying to reinvent themselves and taking a crisis and making it into an opportunity of adding new amenities or rethinking their business. And we're also working to bring in some new groups, small groups, and get more visibility for us. So it is a challenge. We are resilient. The industry always comes through. We have strong partnerships and as well throughout the state. This is not only here in Westchester, this is happening elsewhere. We are talking of working out certain promotions and just being very unique in how we go out there. Just yesterday with the Westchester Hotel Association, we had hosted our annual forecast, and it's going to be a slow and steady crawl, road to recovery, and we're ready for it. I think that we are in a position and are here to welcome and overcome any challenges that any client or person may see. This is also a great opportunity for all local residents to go out there and become a tourism ambassador. Here in Westchester County, our diversity, our four corners, we have a lot to see. And I love Waddell talking about those Instagrammable moments. We have many of those, and hashtag my Westchester and hashtag Westchester tourism. And that's more of out there going, just promoting our beautiful county.
It's interesting too, because I do think we're dealing with an immediate problem. The problem will not disappear in a month or 2 months, but we're also talking about long-term assets. When we look at what makes Westchester attractive, the river to our west, the sound to our east, the proximity to New York City, the gateway to the Hudson Valley, above us are things like the FDR Homestead, Vanderbilt Mansion, West Point, Storm King, a host of other different activities that what appears to be a crisis now and for a year or two are still 20-year, 30-year assets in value. And while it's obviously very difficult for those who've invested and run these facilities because they have no cash flow or insignificant cash flow right now, there's a long-term values. And I have to defer to medical science. When a vaccine comes, when a antiviral treatment comes, I say this probably every day on my updates, every week on my updates, that we will start the process of getting back to normal. And there is an intrinsic value in Westchester that will not disappear. We're not going to lose that proximity to New York City. Whatever happens in New York City, it's still going to be the home of the United Nations and the Rockefeller Center and the home of Wall Street and the home of the Statue of Liberty. So that's not going to disappear. And the Hudson Valley, just like the Napa Valley north of San Francisco, that's not going to disappear. So I do think in the long term, you use the right word, and that's resilience. I think we're resilient people, not the three of us per se, but Americans in general, Westchester residents in specific. This is a difficult time, but we faced other difficult times in our history. We faced a Great Depression, my mother and father would tell me about, and World War II years, which were very difficult years on the home front. And in years past, we had a Revolutionary War fought right here in our backyard. We're approaching the 250th anniversary of that. And people don't realize that the Battle of White Plains, skirmishes on Heathcote Hill and in other parts of this county, we had war, physical war, living and dying right here in our backyard. And we had boys leaving farms during the Civil War to go off and fight in Shiloh and Chancellorsville Antietam and all of those places. So we've come through other crises, and I have confidence as an individual that we'll get through this crisis too. So it is taking the long view, and in the value of tourism and our hospitality facilities, the great venues, Waddell, that you represent, and other ones, the Caramores of the world, that Pelham Picture Houses and the Jacob Burns, that we're going to come through this. And when we do come through this, we're going to be set with assets that people, once they have discretionary resources, will be happy to be able to use again, because Lord knows we're going to need some relief from the stress of this pandemic once it's behind us. And all of that is going to be a positive thing. Waddell, let me give you a few comments to close, either about the Blaze or in general about historic Hudson Valley.
Well, I just riff off of what you just are talking about, which is that the long view is so helpful to hear you take, and we really appreciate at Historic Hudson Valley your leadership as county executive. We appreciate what the County Office of Tourism is doing, this Westchester with Care pledge, which we jumped on as soon as we heard about it, because it conveys a seriousness about keeping visitors safe and secure when they're out and about and venturing to cultural activities. And I also want to cite Arts Westchester as really the country's best arts council right here in Westchester, which is supporting culturals like ours with enhancements to capability as well as financial support. And it's so helpful to be taking the long view, gratifying that the county is continuing to do that. And it just can't be emphasized how important the Office of Tourism and Arts Westchester are as glimmers of hope in an otherwise somewhat dispiriting time for cultural institutions like ours to get back on our feet, get back open in responsible and limited fashion at the moment, but also plan to thrive in the future.
Well, Waddell, we're rooting for you. We hope that the Blaze is a continued big success this year, and that as things change, you'll be able to open up other types of activities at your other facilities and do so successfully. We look forward to that. Natasha, we'll let you get the last word, so to speak, in all of this. How do people find out more about your Westchester with Care initiative?
Sure, and thank you for having myself and the ability to talk about tourism and film. As you know, I'm really passionate about it, and we will come through this. There is no playbook, so it's also no idea is a bad idea. I'm open. I consider myself and my team as an extension of all of our tourism partners, staff and team, to overcome all of this. And our visit westchesterny.com, our website has a ton of information of events. You know, we've talked about the arts and cultural and the farms, and all of that is listing. We're creating curated itineraries that will be up and running shortly. I mentioned the virtual tours. And Westchester with Care has its own landing page for more information. I encourage businesses to take part, call with any questions, and for our visitors and residents just to be safe and enjoy what we have here in Westchester County.
Well, thank you, Natasha, and thank you, Waddell. And Waddell made a point that I want to make sure we reemphasize. We're very fortunate to have in Westchester County an organization with the level of professionalism and inclusivity as Arts Westchester. Janet Langsam and her team do a terrific job. Natasha works very closely with them, and we're very grateful that they too are our partners in all of this. We've been talking with Natasha Caputo, who is director of our Office of Tourism and Film, and Waddell Stillman, who is the president of Historic Hudson Valley. And we're talking about how in this age of COVID, we still press on in the world of tourism and interesting activities and what we have planned for the fall. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Tomorrow, we will give our weekly COVID update. We delayed it a couple of days in deference to Yom Kippur, and then also wanting to have accurate numbers as we begin the month of October. Tomorrow, I'm going to get a flu shot in public, which you should do too. And it will help us make sure that we're safe from that particular wintertime concern, even as we continue to focus on where we are with COVID. The short skinny will give you more details tomorrow. is that the numbers in Westchester continue to be good. We are in the middle of a pandemic. We have not defeated the virus. We have seen numbers jump up in some neighboring counties like Rockland and Orange, and in New York City, but we're still pretty much at the level that we hope to be at in terms of new infections, total active cases, hospitalizations, and unfortunately fatalities. But we'll cover all that in detail tomorrow and give you a chance in future sessions of Facebook Live to have these types of interviews where you can get just a flavor of some of the people and the places that we're trying to make us get Westchester through this pandemic. In the meantime, have a safe day. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy it. Thank you.